I will now recognize Mr. Babin for 5 minutes.
All right, thank you so much, Madam Chair. I'm sorry I'm running a little bit late today. And thank you, witnesses, for being here. Dr. Jacobs, I'd like to ask you the first question. In addition to serving on this subcommittee, I'm the ranking member and former chairman of the Space Subcommittee. NASA manages the development and launch of the reimbursable satellite programs, projects, and instruments for NOAA through the Joint Agency Satellite Division. One of the programs they develop is the Joint Polar Satellite System. JPSS is an $11 billion investment from taxpayers in our weather observation capabilities that protect lives and property. These satellites provide the bulk of the observations needed to make our medium and long-range weather forecasting successful. 85 to 90% of all data that's used in numerical weather prediction models come from polar orbiting satellite data. One of the most important measurements that JPSS makes is microwave sounding. Recent reports indicated that the FCC's 24 gigahertz auction would effectively jam NOAA's use of that spectrum for microwave sounding that serves as the very backbone of our weather prediction capabilities that protect lives and property. If appropriate protection limits are not placed on the use of the spectrum sold at auction by the FCC, should NASA and NOAA issue stop work notices to contractors on JPSS?
Well, we're still in the process of working with NOAA, NASA, and the FCC to hopefully reach a solution that we can all live with. But with the ATMS instrument on the current JPSS as well as the proposed JPSS 2, 3, and 4, the mission requirements are 98% data. So if we see a projected loss of 2% or more, then it's highly likely we would issue a stop work order.
Okay. And if NASA and NOAA continued to fund the development of JPSS that are effectively unusable as a result of the FCC auction, could this constitute a misappropriation of funds by these agencies?
Well, it probably would not be the best use of taxpayer money if we were paying for instruments we couldn't use.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. And also, again, Dr. Jacobs, listening to the testimony from our panel, it seems that NOAA has a lot to do in order to take the next step in improving weather forecasting. From my vantage point, this should be among the agency's very top priorities in the coming years. Years ago, the Office of Space Commerce and Office of Commercial Regulatory Affairs were buried in NOAA. Do you support consolidating them and moving them back to the Department of Commerce, where they were originally placed by statute in order to allow NOAA to focus on its core mission?
Yes, there's a lot of different bureaus within the Department of Commerce that would equally share and be very benefited by this being at the DOC level. So yes.
Excellent. Thank you. And Dr. Uccellini, is that it? Okay. Thank you. As you are aware, the Congress appropriated a great deal of additional funding to the National Weather Service after Hurricane Sandy. This money was intended to help the Weather Service improve its hurricane models for future cycles. As a member representing a district that was hit hard, very hard, by Hurricane Harvey, can you imagine, or can you explain how this additional funding made a difference in forecasting, and what should the Congress do to improve severe weather prediction capabilities for future hurricane seasons?
So, first of all, thank you for the support after Sandy. That covered a whole spectrum of activities, including numerical modeling for the Hurricane Forecast Improvement Program, and an operational computer that allowed us the capacity to actually run the model operationally that the research community could transition as part of the R2O. When it came to Harvey, Harvey was a tricky storm up front when it was developing near the Mexican coast, east of the Yucatan Peninsula. But first of all, the global models started picking up on that this storm would not only be moving towards the northwest, towards Texas, but also intensifying. But it was the new hurricane, what we call the HWRF, the new finer scale hurricane model that picked up that this storm would rapidly intensify as it approached the coast. And it was one of these nightmare scenarios that storm actually intensified from a Category 2 to a Category 4 as it was approaching the coastline. We were ready for that, and up to a certain amount. I don't think we quite had the 4, but we had that it was intensifying as it approached the coast. The reason this was important was that we were co-located, we were embedded with the emergency management community at Corpus Christi, and we were briefing them on when they would be able to go out and rescue people and when they would not, because this was not going to be a storm that they wanted to be out on the outer islands for. So we actually worked with them, and when between the satellite data, first of all, the models, satellite data, and the radars, they actually went out during the eye, when the eye wall passed over the coast, and went out and rescued over 250 people and brought them back before the back wall came in. So all things mapped out, the modeling component of that sequence was actually the benefit of Sandy supplemental funding.
Great. I really appreciate that. And I'll yield back my negative